Don't forget to dab on them.
The cat.
Okay, I think we are. Yes, we are online, and my microphone is set to where you should be able to hear my
Everyone
voice.
can hear it this time.
Yes, we shouldn't have any difficulties whatsoever. All right,
Yeah.
just we're gonna go ahead and let me just double check to make sure the audio is working properly, because I don't want to start the podcast and nothing's working. You know what I mean? And if y'all can double check to make sure the audio is working properly. Yeah, it sounds fine to me. What the hell?
Ah,
Guys, I'm hungry.
Ben!
Ahoy.
Watch an app. Yeah? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, hello.
Hello, Hayden.
First, Jackson, first.
Yeah, I know, first.
Ahoy.
We still in that mentality.
All right. So today is Wednesday. So we were going to talk about Avatar: The Last Airbender versus Harry Potter today, but we had decided a week ago that we were going to talk about a serious topic this week because it's something we do have to address, especially right now during the pandemic. And I'm just going to go ahead and break the rules. Like, COVID-19 is definitely a serious thing that we are facing right now. It is a pandemic crisis that we are currently going through, and as not as a community and not just as a country, but as people, we have to try to get through this together.
Mm-hmm. We're almost, in the United States, we're hitting close to 100,000 people dead. We passed 90,000 dead in the country.
Yeah.
Right. So
number one.
So we were going to talk about Avatar: The Last Airbender versus Harry Potter, because I truly believe that Avatar: The Last Airbender has more lore than Harry Potter, but we're not going to get into that today. We're going to do that tomorrow. Our Anime Matsuri versus Delta H-Con podcast, that's pretty much over, because at this point right now, that's just beating a dead horse, because the entire conversation is one-sided. So we'll do another video when Anime Matsuri does another big update, because I just don't want to do an update to where they have like a cardboard cutout of a voice actor and they ask that question. I don't want to talk about that. Unfortunately, like 4 is my limit, Sanji.
I don't know. It's like
But you can join us on the 4 is my limit. But today we're going to talk about one of the things that plague this country, not just now. It plagues now more than ever, but it's depression and anxiety. Now, a lot of people, especially in the community for geeks, for cosplayers, nerds, geeks, otakus, whatever you want to call them, weebs, whatever the name is that you want to use. There are a lot of people that suffer from depression and anxiety or PTSD. And it's one of the things that affect a lot of people, whether you realize it or not. And we have a lot of people that follow us and I have a lot of people that are friends that suffer from it as well. And it's definitely something that's impacted all of us, whether we have it or not.
Yep.
Yep.
I could say from, I had family members that had to deal with depression. I had friends. Even me, myself, when I was in my mid-20s, I had to deal with it. I mean, it's a lot of people don't want to talk about it. People are ashamed, and depression could be stuff that's going on with your life, or it could be a chemical imbalance. That's why I'm always, if you have problems, therapy is the best way to do it, because they will know, the tools, they can give you the tools and the help that you need. Oh, hi, kitty. That you need to do. Kitty.
Yeah, I really think there's the country as a whole, or as like our culture, has this real big stigma against mental health, and how I guess more like the older generations, like boomers and Gen Xers, are kind of just like, well, deal with it. You don't need to go to therapy. Just go outside or do this or do that or the other. And
Hello, first time commenting, Samster Bioman, commenting from Twitch.
Ooh, nice.
Ooh, okay. Hello, Twitch. I see you. Oh, that reminds me. I need to host us on Twitch.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
hey.
I have a Twitch. I don't use it as much. I need to merge these things together.
That was
sorry.
a big sidetrack. I'm so sorry, y'all.
Sorry to Black Sonic, but he is not. He said he's first. He's not first. He is so late to commenting. But So
What I was saying was like, just that, there's been a lot of studies, especially now in the past couple of decades, where we see like these type of the effects of depression, of anxiety, of PTSD, and a lot of other mental health issues, and how they really affect everybody as a whole, and how there's more cases of it because it's being addressed properly, and I think that's really good.
right.
And thing is that for depression, it's not just like the person's just in the sense of wet blanket. Sometimes it could be a person that just is the jokester. They know what it feels like how to be sad all the time, so they just want to bring laughter. Sadly, Robin Williams, when that happened to him, I remember when that happened. That really hit hard on me when he unfortunately passed.
Okay, what's up?
And I see some other people who have anxiety, and sometimes anxiety comes out in anger or just mood swings. People don't know about that as well too. So sometimes somebody might have anxiety and they just come out in anger. That's also sometimes with depression, they might be very defensive as well. I mean, there's so many different forms that a lot of people just don't know, because when you think of depression, you just think of like Eeyore from like Winnie the Pooh, just like all sad and grumpy, just sad and depressed. But it might not always be the case for somebody that you know.
And it affects everyone differently. The symptoms show up differently. There may be somebody who's like super lethargic, doesn't want to get out of bed. They don't reach out to other people, and then there are others who will, like you said, they'll lash out, they'll freak out, they'll be like, feel like the whole world is coming for them, and like they feel like they're backed into a corner a lot of the times, and a lot of people in the past have felt more alone. But as the discussions are being opened up in a day-to-day society, there's more commercials, there's more acceptance, especially in the younger generations, as far as the anxiety and depression is concerned. I know quite a few people who are diagnosed. I am also diagnosed with anxiety and depression, so it is something we live with. And as far as like how to treat it, treatments are different for everyone. Sometimes somebody can go outside and just feeling that warmth on the skin, just being out there, just like getting that vitamin D in from the sun can help, while others, it may be being able to talk to a friend, or some people may need medication, some people may not. So it really affects everyone different, but it is like real and it is valid what you are feeling.
Yeah, and in the past, when it comes to families of certain my sister's here. When it comes to families, sometimes they don't want to talk about, it's frowned upon. We don't talk about depression. We don't talk about, you go to, some people go to religion, or they just, we don't go to doctors. You don't need a doctor. You just need to be happy. You just need to get those thoughts out of your head. And it's not the case, and hopefully, when it comes to mental health and mental illness is starting to be a hot topic for the past, I would say, a good at least 7 years, because now a lot of people are more open about it. Billie Eilish was one of the people that's really open about their mental illness, and some other ones as well too. And I think it's a good thing. People don't want to talk about it, but or say, oh, just keep that information to yourself, and it's like, no, because if you talk about it, people,
yeah, it's not even just like people. Like, if the more you talk about it, the more you validate other people's they're dealing with these type of problems that are they're no longer suffering in silence. They're able to reach out. They're able to find the help that they need. I've dealt with that type of stuff before. People that I love that are diagnosed with anxiety and depression. I've lost family members that have committed suicide.
Wait, who just? Hold on. Stop the podcast. Who the hell just commented for Geeks Forever? One of the admins just commented to Zarek's post saying, because deaf people have depression too. Who the fuck just said that?
I didn't type any of that.
You got none of you guys.
Access to the page.
No, it wasn't one of y'all, because none of you guys are admins for the Geeks Forever Facebook page. Yeah. Like, if you're gonna say look, no. One of the admins needs to step up and tell me you said that, because that's not how I would have said that. I don't know why there's subtitles. I don't know. It's your settings. I would check your settings, your video settings for Facebook, because they are offering subtitles now.
Yes.
But as far as the subtitles goes, there, I don't know what's going on with that. We don't have subtitles. We just have the things where it says our name, and we have the little banners at the bottom, and that's it. That's as far as I'm
I
not
think
doing.
Facebook is automatically putting subtitles at the bottom of the stream, so I don't think it's something you're doing, Goku. I think it's something that Facebook is doing. So maybe
Yeah.
after the stream, you can go into like the streaming settings through Facebook and see what you need to do to
Right.
either turn it off or fix it. I don't know.
I think it was Black
Yeah.
Sonic. Black Sonic, you need to be extra careful, dude, because you need to be careful, especially if you're gonna say something like if you. I don't mind you trolling, but if like you got to be careful
Yeah,
that you
really
don't
Not about
post
this topic, yeah.
Well, no,
Not
no.
about this topic.
I don't know how I don't know if that comment was trolling or not. It just felt a little inappropriate to be posted by us, by our group.
No.
So you just got to be really careful with that, because I'm checking Facebook. So we're talking about depression and anxiety. So depression and anxiety is one of those things that is currently affecting a lot of people. Like what was the name of the musician? Kurt Cobain was, I believe. I'm not really good with names. Before somebody gets on my case about not knowing who he was, I'm really bad with names. So that was one of the biggest suicide deaths that is still talked about today. And you talk about deaths recently, suicide deaths. Chester from Linkin Park.
Chester
one of-
Benningfield, yeah.
Right.
Cornell.
He is.
Bennington.
I'm on the stream right now.
Damn it! I cannot boost it.
I'll get it.
I was trying to promote our I was trying to promote the video so it can get more views, but right, no, I'm not saying that you were trolling, Black Sonic. I'm just saying you just got to be careful because it could come off that way.
Yeah.
Especially with a sensitive subject like this. I'm not saying you were trolling. I'm just forget what I said. But just make sure you know if you're gonna post as yourself, make sure you're posting as yourself. Somebody says, so Jesse, I got news today. Okay, what is your news? But as far as depression and anxiety goes, depression is one of those things that a lot of us face, and like you got to understand in like the culture for people of color, especially if you're Latina, or if you're African American, it's not something that you can easily just talk about or out in the open, especially when your family's not from this country where it's not as sympathetic. Because like in Mexico, it's not as people aren't as sympathetic as they are here. It's more, and it's not even they don't even tell you seek religion as help, because I'm gonna be honest,
Get over it.
they will tell you to your face to just get over it. Like, and honestly, I don't know what it is, but when it comes to, and I don't know how that works or how it is, because even though I spent a lot of time in Mexico, even though I probably spent like half my life in Mexico, I don't understand fully how the culture works. I understand how a lot of it works. And the culture here is a lot different than what I'm used to growing up with. And over there, hello.
Hello, Lewis.
Hi.
Is that Lois or Lewis?
No.
It's Lois. Yes.
I think it's
when it-
Lois.
Yes, it's Lois. When it comes to that, over there, they're a lot more open-minded to the situation, because, and if you look up the current list right now of countries with the highest suicide rate, the top 20 are usually first world countries, where the third world countries have very, very low numbers. So a lot of people believe that depression and anxiety is a chemical imbalance in the human brain.
And it can be.
Yeah, it could be a number of things: environment, upbringing, situations just that you're going through, and that just like all that type of stuff has been shown to interfere with your brain chemistry, your brain
Right.
chemistry,
Yeah,
and all that
in a
stuff.
lot of different cultures, I know America is starting to be open about mental illnesses, but I know in my
Yeah.
my culture, we don't talk about that. We don't discuss that, even if a family member has it. We just you don't say that. You keep it to yourself, and you just bottle up inside. Like, oh no, we just don't talk about that. You just have to deal with it. It's like a taboo. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Taboo. It's a
Yes.
taboo subject.
it is a taboo subject for a lot of cultures, especially like when you come from one where like a lot of the people that came before you. By the way, Senor Oliver, your camera's out of focus again.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to get
Get it together, man.
I know, right? We finally got our stuff together today. This is the first podcast we done where we didn't start off with technical difficulties. We had to double check.
I don't know. He's got some technical difficulties with his focus department.
Yeah, that's not him though. That's not on my part. So, anyways, when it comes to like, and Dee says, yes, black families do that shit too. They will tell you to pray about it or get over it with a quickness. The thing is, like, where my people come from, like my grandparents, my parents, they come from a part of Mexico where, like, you know, especially my dad's side of the family, they live in a town where they don't even have a gas station. There's no gas station in that town. Most of the people walk everywhere. There's a lot of poor children. A lot of, like, you don't get shoes until you're a lot older when you're working, and it's like dangerous. But there are people working. But it is a beautiful place. Like, they have waterfalls, and the water's like freezing cold, and the mountains are beautiful, and it's like it's almost like a tropical jungle. And there's fruit growing out of the trees over there. But it's prospering now. It's getting much better. But there are people there that suffer from anxiety and depression, but they have to be constantly working. And over there, they live to work. And so I guess that's how they deal with it. They try to stay busy. And that's what a lot of people are doing to try to fight their depression. I'm not saying that they're better off for doing that. I'm just saying that that's based on what I've seen. And that's part of my culture. They're just like, listen, we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of bills to pay. Like this, like we're told from the get-go, like it's not about you. It's about everyone as a whole. And it's really tough, especially like I said, if you're a person of like from a different culture, especially if you're black or brown, I mean, doesn't matter. You probably come from a culture where people 40% of the time the people will tell you to pray it away, and then the other 60% of the time they'll just tell you to get over it. Mm-hmm. That there are bigger problems in the world.
Yeah, and that's the one thing when I heard when it comes to like therapy, you know, some people are like, well, you know, other people have it worse than I do, so I really shouldn't be depressed. And I'm like, no, it's your personal issues, it's how you're dealing with it, and everyone's different, you know. I mean, there's some people that had everything and they're depressed. Mm-hmm. You know, can't just
buy love kind of situation. And you know, when you have a friend who you believe is struggling or, you know, has been diagnosed, one of the things that I've learned over the years is the best way to reach out to them isn't, hey, how can I fix you? Or how can I fix this situation? Because I had a lot of friends who reached out. And in my mind, I was like, I don't know how to fix it. I know something's wrong, and that just makes me feel like something even more is wrong with me. It makes me feel like a freak. But like reaching out to them more in a sense of like, what can I do to make like your life easier? Do I need to bring over ice cream, or do you need to rant to me for 2 hours, or do I need to pull up some like Netflix movies on Zoom or something, you know? So it's really a situation where you have to like work together with them and not just like, how do I fix you? Because that gets said a lot as soon as like people know that you're struggling with mental health, and it's something that like as much as they want to, they can't really fix you, but they can work with you to make it better and easier to like go through day to day, and they can make life more enjoyable. Yeah. And those are the good friends. Keep those friends close.
The friends that you have, they want to help you. You know, you know, I would say, I mean, this is just my own personal experiences. When I have a family member that had, she had a lot of issues, and you know, don't push the subject sometimes. Like if they want to tell you what's wrong, if they don't want to tell you what's wrong or whatever's bothering them, just tell me. No, let them open up and gradually get it out. You know, maybe they do or maybe they don't. Like if you just say, hey, I'm here if you want to talk, or if you want to vent, and if you don't, that's fine. You know, you don't have to do that. I always suggest like people, which they do is, write it down in a diary or a journal or something, or just a piece of paper. And if you don't like it, you can write it down and throw it away, tear it up. I mean, it sounds silly, but these are some of the techniques that some people use in order to deal with depression.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of my things was like I used to not want to go to a therapist for a very long time. I know you can't see me, but
It's okay.
I'd never wanted to go to a therapist, and I had a lot of issues, dealing with a lot of things that I grew up with, and it took a lot of like just courage to just finally go and talk to a therapist, even just for like an hour, and it was like so eye-opening to a lot of the problems that I had, to be able to discuss the things that I've gone through, and realize, these things weren't my fault. This is, how it ended up, and you work through these issues, and you keep going, and you get that help that you need. And professional help is like, it really makes a good difference. Good friends and good company and all that stuff can only go so far, because like I've had relationships with other people where they fall in the cart, because like you lean on them too much with your personal problems, and they're just like, I don't want to deal with you anymore. Um, and it's heartbreaking to lose people like that, but that's what I really think, that professional help can really step in and kind of offer a how do I say it, middle of the ground, objective view of your issues, and really get down to the core of it and help you. Um, I also think finding those low cost outlets for that are really helpful. There's a lot of colleges in your local areas that offer no cost or low cost help. They're students that are going through like psychology programs and stuff like that, but they're all like, they're in doctorate programs, and they're about to graduate, so they're actually getting experience to work with clients and stuff like that. So I think it's, that really helps people that might not be able to afford a more expensive psychiatrist or therapist, but it's really a stepping stone to help.
Right.
Yeah,
Before anyone says anything else, I want to address some of the comments that are being posted right now. We have a lot of comments.
Yeah, I'm reading them.
Yeah. So someone says, "Thank you for making the podcast." Another person says, "It's
welcome.
I love everything. Thank you for saying that. I love everything. One is never late. You're always arrive when you need to be. That is not always the case. And this is one of the ones I wanted to address. One person said that's easy for some people to say when it comes to opening up or going to therapists. Yeah, and another person says, yes, writing or talking, venting about it helps a lot. Some people need a wall to just talk or punch at, let out what's inside when they feel and they can't release it and suffer consequences for doing so. Another person says, I've been to a few therapists, counselors, and they've either not understood what I'm talking about or just defaulted to the Jesus therapy. And like I said, I'll get back to that in a minute. The therapist never really helped me out. Sometimes even a distraction helps. Watch TV, play video games, etc. Replying, and they were replying to a person. Same. I went back when I was in middle school, and he said nothing was wrong with me when I clearly something was. So, a lot of people have a lot of issues. So let's go ahead and address one of the things that a lot of people are suffering is that when you suffer from depression, there are a lot of people, and this is common with men. We don't open up. We're not going to sugarcoat it. We're not going to beat around the bush with that. A lot of men don't open up because why don't we open up to people, to therapists or whatever? Because we're taught not to.
Yeah. Society has told men, you don't have feelings or they don't validate it, and it does a lot of harm. For both people, because I have experienced before when it comes to in the dating world, sometimes like the guy will just depend on you solely for emotional support of everything, and that's a very unhealthy thing to do, and we just become this emotional, crutch and everything towards them, and it's overwhelming. Men sometimes don't feel they can even open up to their friends, and it's upsetting. It's very upsetting.
Right. I mean, because a lot of us have fathers or parents, or not even fathers, like just parents or grandparents that they're just, like I'm not gonna lie, I hear stories about how my parents growing up and how rough it was and how tough and how things were back in the day and how they came from like nothing and they came here for the American dream and it's hard to believe that they went through all this. And that's why I think it's a chemical imbalance, because a lot of the people that are born here, or at least it's more wildly known here. It's more, people are more open about it here than they are in other countries where, like, because I have a lot of family in Mexico and they are like going through shit right now when it comes to COVID-19. And yes, we are, like, for those of you just joining, we are going to break that rule and we are going to just say the name of the virus, because this isn't one of those podcasts where we're going to be like, oh yeah, yeah, Harry Potter this, Avatar that, Anime Matsuri sucks ass. No, we're going to try to
Everyone's
avoid all
wrong.
that. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
everyone is suffering a lot. And one of the members of Geeks 5 Ever who's commenting was suffering from depression and anxiety and kind of closed himself off and cut all of us off for like a few weeks. And it actually made me very upset, because we tried our best to reach out to this person, and they didn't reach out to us, but they reached out to someone else and they were afraid that we would judge them. I'm like, and I got mad, like, listen, how could you think that we wouldn't be there for you? Like, we wouldn't help you, or if you needed space, at least tell us you're fine. Like, hey, if you need space, if you want to be alone, that's fine, I'll leave, but at least tell me, hey, I'm still alive.
Mhm.
And that's
And
how.
opening up to those ones who are closest to you is always probably the most difficult, because you are so close with these people and you don't want it to like ruin your friendship. But if they're your real friend, they're gonna accept you for the way you are. My best friend is actually the mother of Goku's daughter, and I would have times where I wouldn't talk to her for a month, and she finally was like, "Hey, what's up? Like, what's going on?" And I just gave in. I was just told her everything that was going on and like what was in my head, and she's still my best friend. She was one of the good ones. So, if you've got friends who you really believe are your friends, then if they are your friends, they will stay by you. And if they don't, and they think that it's a nuisance or they feel like it'll affect the friendship, then, sometimes you need to take a step back. And, you have to remember that you have to take care of yourself first before taking care of others. Because a lot of people who have depression and anxiety, when they see somebody else who they feel is struggling or who is already diagnosed like them, the first thing they want to do is be like, I want to protect you, like, I know what you're going through, but, like, you have to remember to take care of yourself first, because that'll help
Yeah,
you take care of others.
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
you have to. Always when it comes to relationships, if don't burn yourself in order to save somebody. You have to also. I mean, there's times when I was dealing with people with depression and everything, and it's kind of like I can't do anything. I can't help you. I tried everything, and now it's hurting me.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, I mean, it's unhealthy. We can do as much as we can, but one thing I want to note when it comes to mental illness and depression, sometimes you think that nothing's wrong with me and I don't need it. People with mental illnesses really think that they don't need it, and that's also a problem. But if your friends come to you and they're like, "Yeah, you need some help. You need something to help you to deal with it," then you should listen. Because they're just trying to help. They're not trying to be trying to attack you or belittle you in any way. They just want to help.
Yep.
um
Mm-hmm.
And
Go ahead, Senor Oliver.
yeah, what I was gonna say was like, being honest with yourself and being honest with like the people that you're seeking out help from really helps too, because you know as someone that I've dealt with these type of things before, um, I was lying to myself about a lot of things and not willing to open up to my therapist. And, it took a couple of like sessions to finally like tell tell them things about like what I was going through and for
Mm-hmm.
really get that breakthrough. And like sometimes you find therapists that might not work for you. Um, you can keep going and going to different ones, but like to me it's like one of those things that you can't really give up on. Like you there are therapists out there that are willing to help. Some of them are horrible and they'll go the whole Jesus line and stuff like that, and I understand that. And those are the ones that you kind of step away from. Like, they're not there to help you. They're there to kind of just push their agenda on you. But
I
there's,
agree. Yeah.
there's jewels out there that will really help you, and it's just about finding them.
And
Before you say
everyone-
anything, I want to address the comments. If anybody in the comment section, you don't have to share with us, but if you would like to share a story with us so we can talk about it or help you or give you advice, that's the whole point of today. Like, I have a lot of friends that deal with it, and I wanted to say something about what Saki Kitty said about, yes, that was Dr. Pepper. Jen the actress is drinking a 2-liter Dr. Pepper when Jen the actress herself got on my case about drinking more water during the podcast.
Well, I got tired of filling up my cup, so I thought
That's
I
why
cut
I
out the
have multiple
middleman.
bottles. I have multiple bottles
yeah,
with me.
bottles of water.
Well, you have multiple bottles. I have multiple bottles too, and I still can't open them.
I still have this bottle from the last podcast.
All right, yeah, we're gonna go back to this, but to address what Saki Kitty said about like when you're dealing with depression and about like you got to take care of yourself first, and you really can't help others if you can't take care of yourself. That is really hard to do. I hope you know that, because
Oh yeah.
I am in that boat. I don't know if a lot of people, like a lot of my friends, know this, and like I know a lot of listeners don't know this, because I really, like, I've shared, like, when it comes to like something as big as like me suffering from depression, I will share like bits and pieces of what happened, and I will share like, okay, I'll share the big spoiler, like I did this or I tried to do this, but I won't go into detail as to what's wrong with me. I'll just say, hey, I'm suffering from depression. Because I'm suffering from depression, I did this. Look, just shut up about the damn Dr. Pepper on the damn comments, okay? This is...
Dr. Pepper.
I'm not helping. I
Yeah,
promise
no.
I'm not helping. Okay, I'm gonna
Yeah,
stop.
just
I'm gonna
stop. Just stop with the damn Dr. Pepper.
Water.
Like, there are a lot of people that are suffering from this, and it's kind of hard not to help others when you're one of the people that like you feel sympathy towards others. It's hard to not want to help other people, especially like when you're in my position, because everybody knows me. I am everyone's been to our parties, everyone's been to our events, everybody's hung out with us, and everybody has seen me like literally almost collapsed on the floor making sure everybody was taken care of.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what I appreciate your company and just hanging out with you in general. But
I always look like I'm trying to catch my breath, and it's like, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. I'm
Yeah.
fine. I haven't slept like in 3 days, but I'm fine.
Everyone else is good, so I'm good.
Yeah, and then I'll literally just pass out. Like, I think Goku died. Oh, he'll be all right. He's just falling. He just fell asleep. He's fine. My friends will
10
say
hours.
he'll wake up like in 45 minutes, and then he'll be like, what happened? But when it comes to it's really hard to just sit back and not do anything for anybody else, because there are a lot of people that will ask you for help. There are more people that, and when people need help, because there are people out there that are very vocal about their depression and anxiety, and their level of depression and anxiety might be more, some people have it more visibly, and there are people that are suffering even more from it that don't show it at all until it's too late.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to downplay anybody. That's not what I'm trying to do. Because I have a friend whose name is Oliver Clark. And 3 years ago he killed himself. And he killed himself a few days before we went to Anime CTX. And I remember going to the con. I remember driving to the con, and then Saturday afternoon during the convention, I had to leave to go attend his funeral. Well, it was his memorial. And I had an anxiety attack because I didn't know they had cremated him, and I saw his, like, they had his ashes in a container there at the barbecue that they were having for him. They had a barbecue as a memorial for him at a park, and they had it there, and I wasn't mentally prepared to see that. I didn't expect that. Normally, when I go to stuff like that, I mentally prepare myself for the, like, so I don't have anxiety attacks or panic attacks. Whenever I do something, I have to mentally prepare myself. Like, even during a panel, I host a lot of panels, and people are like, Goku, you host like some of the greatest panels of all time. And I'm like, thank you so much. But I have to mentally prepare myself to stand in front of a crowd. Otherwise, I will have an anxiety attack. Yeah, I have a lot of charisma, but I do suffer from depression and anxiety. And a lot of people don't realize that. Like, they don't know that I have it, and I have it like on a bad level. Like, it is a very drastic level for me. And I don't seek help. I don't see a therapist. I don't take medication for it. I was venting to my friends because I haven't physically seen my daughter since January because I was gonna see her in for spring break, but we decided to not to make my child travel because of COVID-19 starting, and it pisses me off to where people are like, oh, COVID-19 is not a big deal. I'm like, well, I'm not gonna risk it and get my mother sick or get my kid sick because you guys decided that y'all can't sit at home for 5 fucking days because you want to go out and play golf or get a haircut or see a damn movie. I'm not about to do that. And that's what really pisses me off. And that's
convention.
Or go to a stupid anime convention or do this and do that. And I'm sorry, if you want to go to Anime Matsuri, that's fine. Good for you. But I'm not going to do that. And I've gotten shit for not wanting to do it. Like, oh, well, why aren't you hosting your panels? I'm like, because I don't fucking want to. And like and I have people asking me for help all the time. People always ask me for help, and I will help them. And I always get the whole speech. Well, you got to take care of yourself before you take care of others. But that's difficult. It is very difficult. It is not easy to just sit down and do absolutely nothing and take care of yourself because
it's easier to motivate yourself to help somebody in need than sometimes to help yourself.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
I mean, I feel that. I feel that sometimes with myself, you know.
And that's part of my religious upbringing. My religious upbringing has always been help those in need and do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's okay to ask help, guys. You know, the people out there. It's okay to ask help. It's okay to say, like, hey, you know, I do have anxiety or I do have depression. Sometimes, you know, I might have some mood swings or something might bother me, and just, like, you know, be open about it because, you know, some people, you know, don't know about these things. You know, I remember, what was it, a couple of weeks ago, and which was during the pandemic, I had an anxiety attack. And it triggers. You know, I don't take medications because the medications bring me way too drowsy. I feel like sluggish and a robot, and it doesn't help me, and I feel terrible of taking them. So I rather do exercises and like breathing exercises in order to try to maintain it, control it, and like let it pass. You know, because you can't just make it stop. You have to let it just pass through until you can mentally calm yourself down. I mean, that's just my own personal way of doing it. Other people do it in different ways, you know. But for me, breathing exercises help me greatly when it comes to anxiety attacks.
Chelsea, you look like you want to say something.
I look like I was looking at the I wanted to look at how the live stream I wanted to see how the live stream works. I wanted to see how it looked on a full screen. I was like, man, I look either really sleepy or I look like I'm look like we have Mexicans that look Asian, so like I look like my cousin. Yes, but I want to address the comments real quick. We have one comment. I'm frustrated because I'm very extroverted and I want to talk to people. Oh no.
Oh no! Oh no! He's gonna mess up the feng shui.
It messed up the whole thing because the way I have it set up is.
Oh no!
It's.
Is he coming back?
I don't know. He's been having trouble with his camera. At this point. Oh, there he goes.
There he goes. All right. To address the comment, I'm frustrated because I'm very extrovert and I want to talk to people, but I feel like I'm bothering them. Especially when it's the same 5 people, I need to talk to my friends or I get sad. It's even worse when cons help make me happy. Yes, And I have another comment is same here. I haven't seen my daughter since February, and it kills me. I can completely understand. And another comment is especially with the new strand that affects children. Yes, that is definitely a thing. And
that's not fake news, guys. It's happening.
I watched we went to Memorial City Mall yesterday, and it was almost empty. Like there weren't a lot of people there. People were keeping their distance. There was some children, but not a lot. But I looked at a video for the Galleria where everybody's all up in each other's Kool-Aid, and I saw how like people were like in everybody's personal space, and I'm like, that is not good. Like that is what's gonna get everybody sick.
Yeah.
Hands
no. In Memorial City Mall, they got rid of all the chairs and all the couches, so you can't just sit and idle. You have to keep moving. The stores won't let you in without a mask. I think that they're doing a better job than the Galleria, but yes, there is a new strand affecting children, and people are taking out their children. Being frustrated about being an introvert, like I'm in the same boat. Like I'll text people. I'll talk to the same person for 4 days in a row, and then they won't hear from me anymore because I feel like I'm pestering them or something, like flat out. Sometimes I'll just forget to text. Like for me, like I'll think that I just texted you like 2 days ago when it's been like 2 weeks.
Me too.
Yeah, same.
But but it is.
And
go ahead.
I was about to say, and people who have anxiety and depression, there's sometimes when you just don't feel it, and there are some times where it's just crazy overwhelming, and just because you don't always feel anxious or always feel depressed, like it's okay to be happy and have good moments, and it's okay to be like sad and have those bad moments, and it doesn't mean you're sad all the time. It doesn't mean you're anxious all the time. It doesn't mean you're paranoid all the time. It just means that you struggle a little bit more with situations sometimes, and that some activities that other people would find simple or normal, like you just struggle a little bit more with motivation, with feeling like you can do it or that you're good at it. So sometimes you don't feel it for years at a time. Sometimes you're having anxiety attacks every other week, every other day. There's different triggers, and as I said, it's different for everyone, but just because you have it doesn't mean you're down all the time. And that's a huge misconception that a lot of people who don't have anxiety or depression really don't understand. Because when I say, oh, hey, I have depression, like, I have anxiety, and they're like, oh, well, you're smiling, you're always happy, you're always, like, happy-go-lucky, but, like, they don't see those moments where, like, I'm not streaming or off camera or at home alone, just chilling on the bed, like, well, I'm not doing anything today. So, just keep that in mind. If you don't have it, it doesn't mean they're upset all the time.
Yeah. And even when I remember I was being interviewed for a article about cosplay, and I even stated in that when I got into cosplay, which was probably over a decade ago, which was maybe I was like 25 or 26, that's when I really started to get into it. And I said it was for me to deal with my depression. Because at the time, a 5-year relationship ended. The money we were saving, we were actually starting our lives together. That went down the drain. And, and then on the top of that, within that same week, I lost my job. So, like, everything just, like, when it rained, it poured. And so I decided to, step back, try to help myself, and I went on a trip, literally. I went across the world. I'm like, I'm going to go. It's like, I'm going to go on a trip. Where are you going? Europe. And they're like, I literally just packed up everything and left. That was the best way to deal with it.
For some reason, I'm going to apologize to Black Sonic real quick. His comment popped up on the screen, and that's how I saw it, but it didn't pop up on my chat window, and that's kind of weird. And I'm having difficulties with the chat windows right now, but he did say this. He says, it's okay to ask for help, but it's hard to ask for it, It is really difficult for anyone, because there are different types of people that are suffering from, and we did say this, there are different types of people that are suffering from these are diseases. These are these are not just like, oh, it's just all in your head. No, these are actual things that are affecting our brains. And there's it's kind of like a it's kind of like a defect in our human, like, I don't know what the word is. I don't even know if
mentality,
defect. Yes,
genome.
yes. So there are a lot of people that are suffering from this, and they're not going to help. I guarantee you that everybody on here, if they're not suffering from it, they have a friend that is. Everybody has somebody that's suffering from this, and it's really difficult you have to try your absolute best to try to reach out to them. You can't just send them a text. You have to, like, for our friend, I wonder if he threw himself under the bus. We weren't trying to say who it was, but we were about to drive to his apartment and look for him. Like, hey, have you seen this person? Party Geeks 5 ever goes by this name.
That's what good do.
Yeah, sometimes you need to do
Yeah.
that. Sometimes you need to. Sometimes, but you have to be cautious about it. And, like, the thing is, when it comes to your friends, there's no easy way to say this. They are going to push you away. They are going to do it. They're going to push you away. They're going to tell you that they don't need help. They're fine. It's fine. They don't need anything. They're good. No. If you can sense, because a lot of people can sense it. If you can sense something's wrong, like, hey, are you sure? If you need to vent, you can talk to me. But at the same time, and this is my favorite saying. I've been saying this for like a year or two now, because they said it in Daredevil. When they were talking to Daredevil's mother, who was a nun, she says, when the people who need us the most push us away, we have to find the strength to hold on tighter. That is something. Just real quick, I just want to address the rest of the comments because we're getting a lot of them. They're replying to somebody. Yep, reasons for my high anxiety. We're not going anywhere. It's easier to wear a mask of smiles and show what's really beneath. Another person says, people always assume I'm happy all the time because I don't show my sadness in public, but I'm good at hiding. Yes, there are a lot of people that are really good at hiding their emotional depression. Like, I think for like a good example of that is, I'm a good example when it comes to the community, because you'll see me like at the cons. I'm running around. I'm in my poncho sombrero. I'm blasting music. I'm very energetic. If you've ever attended one of my panels, I hype up the panel. I'm high energy. I'm always I don't even use a microphone. I'm always yelling. The whole weekend, I'm doing my Mexican cries, the ones they do for the music, like, ah, ha, 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 ha. You know, I'm always doing that in the hall. I'm lit. I'm throwing parties. I'm hanging around people. I'm always surrounded by people. I'm always here and there. I'm always running panels. I'm always running around. I'm doing podcasts. I always have like Johnny Young Bosch and people like them in my room hanging out with us. And people are like, dude, this is amazing. This is cool. You make Super Saiyan Blue. You're so creative. You create all these, but deep down inside, I have almost committed suicide 3 times.
Nope.
And it's not something that's easy to talk about. It's really not. People seem to be very understanding when I mention that, but you have to understand that when you're at that point, people are like, well, you got to think about the people that love you and that care about you. We do think about that. That is one of the things that runs through our mind.
Yep.
We think about that, like how everyone's going to feel if we do that. Like, it's something, I can't even begin to describe that thought process. At that point, you're in such a dark place and you feel so alone.
And then you have friends like me who yell at you through Messenger.
Well, no, like even then, no, that time, that's different. That wasn't like, that time was different. I was intoxicated. No, I'm talking about when I was completely sober. When I was completely sober and I was just like, no, I'm done. I'm just done. I don't want to do anything anymore.
And the thing is that sometimes what people may or may not understand is that when it comes to suicide, when sometimes people are thinking about committing suicide, they think, oh, I'm better off gone, so they won't feel the burden of me, you know, and they
Big mood.
to make it seem like it's okay, and it's not okay. Let me say this right now: it's not okay to commit suicide. You know, the sadness just gets passed on to your friends and family. You
There,
know, and it's depressing. You know, and don't commit suicide.
there is a,
It's
there
like
is
advice.
a, there is a.
Like,
I'm gonna let you go ahead and talk real quick, Mr. Oliver.
yeah,
But
yeah.
there is something that I wanted to say real quick, and I'm gonna look it up as well. Superman.
Yeah, so what I was gonna say was that that type of stuff when someone commits suicide, it just transfers that sadness. It's like a virus. It is a disease. I think that's how it really functions. How that really carries to your family members. It carries like when my uncle committed suicide, my Theo committed suicide. Like his children, his you know my mom, everybody else. It just kind of just like all that went to them instead. And like when the times that I tried committing suicide, like it wasn't more about just like being a burden on anybody else. It was just wanting to end what I was feeling. Like they don't want to feel anything anymore. Like you just don't want to deal with it anymore. Like I tried doing that before I was like 18. And then after that, it was more just like, getting drunk and and blacking out and waking up in places where you didn't remember where you're at and just not
Yeah.
caring. Like it was really hard to get above those hurdles, and I'm glad that
Mhm.
I was able to like it's still a daily battle. It's never really over. You don't just go to a therapist. You just don't go and talk to your friends, and it's just all of a sudden you're
Just
fighting
real quick,
shit and
I'm gonna
yeah,
interrupt you real quick.
no, it's
Some
fine.
of the people are saying they can barely hear you.
Oh, okay.
Turn your volume up.
Just real quick, while you adjust your volume, I wanna share something with everybody. So I'm not a big fan. I'm one of the people that will admit I am not a big fan of Superman. I am not, and the reason why I'm bringing up Superman,
Yeah, fuck Superman. I was like, fuck Superman. I do not like
I'm
Superman.
more of a Batman person.
there
Is that
is a
fair?
comic. There is a comic of Superman, and I wanted to share this, and it's about suicide. And I'm just gonna go ahead and share this real quick. And I'm gonna go ahead and if you're watching it from a screen, and it's probably too small to read out for most of you, so I'm gonna go ahead and read it. So Superman is confronting a. He says, "Hello, Felicity. I thought we might talk for a bit. I understand you've been going through a lot lately, and then Felicity cuts off Superman. She says, "Don't you dare touch me. That's what you want, isn't it? Wait until I drop my guard, and then you grab me and take me back down there by force because you can, because you're stronger than me, because you know I can't stop you." So Felicity is on top of a building on the edge, about to jump off, and Superman is here to save Felicity. And then this is what Felicity says to Superman. Somebody said when you give your word, you never break it. Is it true? And Superman says yes. And then I want your word. I want your promise that you won't try to take me down by force, and that if I jump, I won't choose to jump. That I choose to jump because it's my choice. You won't stop me. If you do that, I'll talk to you. And Superman says, I give you my word. I won't stop you, and I won't take you back down against your will. Now, I can't find the second page to this comic, but Superman does say, like, before you jump, like, he says something in the lines of this: before you jump, if there's something, like, I want you to look at your life as a whole, and if there's nothing in your life that gives you a glimmer of hope, that you believe that it's not worth living for, like, just look at everything you have and everything you've done and everything you will do. If there's nothing, even the slightest chance that it's worth living for, then you can jump, and I will not save you. I will not catch you. And then Felicity thinks about it, and Felicity starts crying. And then she grabs onto Superman, and they fly down to the ground. And that is one of the reasons why that is one of my favorite comics of all time, because that right there is who Superman is, because they addressed the suicide problem in DC Comics. Superman tried to save this person that was about to commit suicide, but not by force, but opening up to this person and saying, listen, I know life is hard and it's not perfect, but if there's even the slightest chance that you have something worth fighting for, then we can go down. Otherwise, if you believe there's nothing left, then I won't save you. And I was watching Avatar, and they had a similar line, like where they were going through a tunnel. And, Uncle Iroh says, sometimes when you are when they were going through a tunnel, it might seem dark, but if you keep digging and digging and digging and pushing forward, if you keep pushing forward, eventually you come to a better place. When you seek light, you will find it over time, but when you seek darkness, darkness is everywhere. Like these things that are supposed to be called childish, they're supposed to be for kids, are like teaching some of the best life lessons that I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
I think it kind of, it's a testimony to the effect that, that current media, the modern media has on people like us, where we can see these types of things, and they're telling us stories that are really, that get to,
That speak to
get
you.
to your heart. They speak to you, yeah, exactly. They speak to the issues that you're facing, and I really think that these types of media are really kind of helping end this stigma against mental health, against anxiety, depression, and all those types of other things. We're really just being able to be open about it because our heroes are open about it. They're confronting these issues head on, and they're talking about it. And I think that we need more of that. We really do.
Yeah, people are still having issue hearing you, and it's really
Yeah.
difficult for me to turn up your volume.
Yeah, no, I get you. I'm trying to fix it myself.
We could all use an Uncle Iroh. I feel that statement in my soul. Oof.
Yeah, no, it's fine if people need to leave. I knew this would be a very difficult subject for a lot of people, but you don't have to stay here. Before you leave, you don't have to stay here. You can reach out to one of us. You can reach out to me, and we can talk to you one-on-one. That's what you can use Geeks 5 Ever as a way to, as somebody that you can talk to, and we will not judge you. I mostly run Geeks 5. I do have other admins, but the other admins have become very inactive. I'm sorry, very inactive because we stopped posting memes. Once this all happened, we started getting the ball rolling with the podcast. And now, we went from like less than 100 views. Like on YouTube, we're still not doing that well. But on Twitch, we have 15 followers now. On YouTube, we're getting like we got some hits today. That's really good.
Yes.
On Facebook though, we were getting like 60, 100. We were lucky to get like 150. Now we're getting close to 400 views. So I'm really happy that we're gaining traction. So if you do need to talk, if you want to talk to me or one of us, you can see our names plus the @ with our social media tags. So that's a new little neat feature that I added on there, so you know how to contact us. Especially Geek Survivor, we're always here for the community. We try to be. There are a lot of people that are crying there's a lot of issues facing the community, and there are a lot of people that are trying to have their voices heard, but they're going unheard because people don't listen to them, or they just can't speak up. And that's why we're here. We're here to help. We want to help you. We want to help you, the people, because we are members of the community that created this group, and we wanted to, and you guys are the community. You guys, without you, there's no reason for me to keep doing this. I mean, if the community didn't back us at all, I just wouldn't do this anymore. This is something that I would rather just lay in bed and play God of War or play video games all day, but I literally will stay up all night looking at ways to improve the podcast, looking at ways to make things better, looking at ways to fix all the issues that we're facing, because I take criticism very seriously. I take it very personally. So when people tell me that this isn't working or that isn't working, I try to find a way to, like, we tried Skype and that wasn't working. So you can ask everybody here. We went back to Facebook calling, and I figured out a way to make it work with 4 windows. That took me like 2 hours to figure out. And even then, it takes me about 20 minutes to get it fixed like the way it is now. So it is a lot of work that we're doing, and we want to help the community. We want to be there for you. We understand that everybody's going through a lot, especially now and during this pandemic, when a lot of people rely on going out and seeing friends and being with them and going to cons just to help their mental well-being. And I don't blame anyone if this is too much. If it is too much, No one's gonna judge you. If you need to leave, that's fine.
Mm. Yeah, you have a lovely evening. Thank you so much for stopping by.
No, don't tell the people that. Like, you make it sound like we're about to quit.
No!
Have a lovely evening.
Well, whoever's leaving, Albert, you have a lovely evening.
Don't say their names.
Does that help? Can you hear me better now?
Yes. I don't know. I can
They're
still hear you
posting
the same.
comments. Their name is going to be on screen.
Yeah, but
Not like-
it's no, because some people only listen to the audio on Facebook.
Oh.
Like me, when I listen to my
Well,
friend's
now
podcast.
they'll never know if I'm making that name up or not. You didn't say anything. They could have just thought I was saying something random. Hello, Facebook audio people. Don't mind me.
Right. So I have a friend. I have several friends that are going through anxiety, and I'm not going to say their names, but I'm always texting them, or I'm trying to text certain people. Honestly, the reason why I don't text a lot of people on my friends watching, the reason why I don't text a lot of y'all, because sometimes I feel like I'm bugging y'all, or like I feel like I don't have anything to talk about. Like sometimes I just check to see if you're okay. Like, but it's really difficult for me as well. Like, I know some of my friends, Mr. Downtime Gaming, has been going through a lot lately. By the way, just to shout out to him, because he's a friend of mine, and we you can check out Downtime's Gaming on youtube.com/downtimegaming. He runs a streaming podcast of fighting games, Resident Evil games, and a lot of games on his PlayStation.
Nice.
So just check him out. He's doing pretty well. He's been doing a lot better on YouTube. So just go ahead and give him a shot. If you can post a link in the chat, I mean, whatever. I'll probably see if I can share you. But when it comes to help, like, you can reach out to us. It doesn't have to be on here. I know a lot of people are scared and they're embarrassed, or they don't want to share their stories on here because it is really painful.
Yeah.
I've had
it's really hard to share my experiences right now.
Yeah, no, it's really difficult for me to share my experiences, especially on video.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, you've got some pretty hardcore shit though.
I mean, if you feel comfortable or not comfortable, you can share a little bit or not at all. It's all up to our audience and up to us. I was talking about my depression, how it happened, and how I had to deal with it. And I knew at the time, I didn't know it was depression. I thought it was just, it's like, oh, I'm just going through like a phase, or it's just going to go away. And then when it didn't, I was like, all right, there's something seriously wrong, and it happens, and I had to deal with it in my own way. I had to literally travel and escape. And even when I came back to Texas, even then it still was like I was better, but I was still depressed. I was like, I am a little bit better, but I'm still very much depressed, and I still had to deal with it in my own way. And I was like, going back to my cosplay, I used cosplay as a coping mechanism for me to try to get better. And the way I did it, and I actually there was an article that I was talking to, I was doing an interview for, hey baby, and so I said to them that I didn't like myself. I didn't like what I have become, who I become, and I just felt so pathetic about who I was. And I was like, I don't want to be me. I hate being me. Me is not, I'm not a good person, or I'm just, sad and depressed, and I have nothing, I have nobody, And so when I did cosplay, I dressed up as, Assassin's Creed characters most of the time. And I was like, well, I don't have to be me anymore. I am now somebody else. I am an assassin now, and assassins are brave, and they're mysterious, and they're, badass, something that I don't experience, or that I don't have within myself. And I just used that as a way to try to deal with depression. So for those 3 days, I wasn't me. I was someone else.
Yeah, that's what I kept.
And through cosplay, I started to, in a sense, develop those, I wouldn't say characteristics, but the characters gave me strength. I mean, it sounds silly, but dressing up as the characters, I finally gained strength within myself. I'm like, I can also be badass. I can also be strong and be independent. And that helped me to get out of depression. And that's why I'm so very close to cosplay and how cosplay helped me to grow as a person. Because honestly, if I didn't have that, I might have found something else to cope with, but through cosplay, I didn't have to be me because I was shitty. In my way, I was shitty, and I was somebody else, somebody stronger, and that helped.
Yeah, that I've interviewed a lot of cosplayers. I've talked to a lot of different people about that issue, and like that's a lot of the things that I hear about. Is like they feel empowered when they're wearing that costume. They feel empowered when they're representing that character. They're empowered when they're making the cosplay, and then they're getting a lot of a lot of people liking their stuff, a lot of liking their costume and all that sort of stuff. It's really empowering. Like I miss it. I kind of wish that I could be cosplaying
Yeah.
this year, but we'll just have to wait. I can be patient, but it really is empowering, and I think that
Yeah.
it helps. It really does help because it's a creative outlet, and it really allows you to step outside yourself.
Yeah. And to me, I mean, this might not be for everyone, who is dealing with depression. I'm still dealing with a lot of sometimes the anxiety, and then I'm worried a lot when it comes to COVID-19. And even now, I'm even more worried of how things are opening. We're getting higher numbers. I'm not going to get into that. But,
Yeah.
sometimes the way I deal with stuff is like I just create things. I find a hobby, I create things and just focus on that. I like to do stuff with my hands. So it's like sewing or knitting, crocheting, drawing, coloring, just something that just, for a while just keeps my mind off of reality for a moment, and that's sometimes how I cope. And I'm very artistic. So, I mean, it just helps me to cope things. And I would suggest that to the audience as well, too. Like, you could play games or play games that are a little bit more, happy or friendly or something that you can create or read a book, write,
Yeah, less stressful.
draw.
Less stressful.
Just do something,
That
for a
helps.
while. Stop watching the news.
Oh wow, we got a big one. We got a big comment. I'm gonna go ahead and read that.
Okay, let's do that
Yeah, no.
comment.
Yeah, I'm reading one.
Yeah. Okay, so we have these. We have some comments. Same here. I actually like listening to people talk about their problems because I'm not perfect, nor do I have room to judge anyone based upon what they're going through. I'm going to cosplay Liam Costa from Mass Effect Saki Kitty. He put your real name, but I'm not going to say it. He put your whole real name.
The whole last
You can
name.
use that, please. I'm not trying to be rude.
Is that your social security on there? No, I'm just making a joke. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm sorry. Making a horrible joke. When I cosplay Princess Anna, I have fun. When a child gets starstruck when they see me as Anna, it makes me happy, and I forget about it in stress.
True with that comment. I'm being serious.
Wait, what? Say that again.
The person that's on the stream, or like not on the stream, on the messages, like he put my real name. Please remove that. I'm being serious. I can't remove it. He has to remove it.
Yeah, Mr. Piccolo, if you could just remove
Message
the.
me privately. I don't want to deal with that. Not now.
Right. Yeah. No. It's That's why we use stage names on here. That's why we have Jen the actress instead of.
Blank.
Yeah. So
Instead
if
of
you
my full
could.
name.
Yeah. So okay. So. We have another comment. I almost committed suicide back in middle school. My mom was going through heart failure problems. She took her anger out on me verbally a lot. I was also dealing with physical and verbal bullying from others at school. My new neighbor saved my life. They talked me out of it and helped me with my feelings. One of them has been my best friend for years since then, and we still talk to each other when we are down to this day.
That's a good neighbor.
I like blessed. That's
Like State Farm.
Like a good neighbor. Okay, another comment is glad you didn't go through with it. World would be worse off if that had happened. Thank you. I don't know if you're talking to me, but thanks. I'll take it as if you were talking to me. We're gonna address the bullying on another podcast when we do another series. So I don't know how often we're gonna do the very outreaching what do we call it? It's called outreaching. I don't want to call it series podcast, but we're going to call it outreaching I don't know. Community outreach podcast. Yeah, there you go. That's good. Thank you. That's what we got. Senor Oliver here.
Yeah, like once a month or something like that.
Well, that might be too long. Maybe once every
Not
3
twice a week.
weeks.
Oh, jeez, God.
No, like
Cruise
no,
every day, twice a week.
the podcast itself is Monday,
Yeah.
Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So Monday is a trash talking subject. Wednesday is a regular discussion. Thursday is a versus discussion, and Saturday is a guest podcast.
Mhm.
We do have an official schedule. And as I keep adding stuff to the stream, I'm gonna add the schedule on the streams from now on.
Yeah.
I did want to mention, like, just one thing, because I know that we're talking about, like, bullying as a separate subject, but that was a lot of what, like, my depression was rooted in, was, like, I got bullied at school. People always wanted to fight with me. I got in a lot of fights, and, like, I didn't like getting beat up, so I didn't get beat up. Uh, so I would usually beat them up instead, but that still was kind of like this stigma, was like, leave him alone, like he's crazy type of stuff.
Oh no, I got my ass kicked in middle school, man. I'm not afraid to admit it. There was this. When I first went to middle school, I was like, I was 10. I just turned 11. There was this dude like Godzilla, taller than my parents, and my dad's not short. I'm slightly taller than my dad, and I'm 5'11". This guy's like 13, 6 foot, 8 feet, and he pulled me down the bleachers at gym. I just threw my wallet in the distance, hoping he would go after it. Nope, he still whipped my ass.
I stabbed people with pens and pencils.
I wish I would have, but you gotta understand, he grabbed me. I had my back turned. And I was talking to somebody casually, and this person just randomly grabbed me from the foot and dragged me down the bleachers. Because I was 11, so it was easy for a lot of people in middle school to pick on me because I was like really young, and everybody was like 12, 13, 14 and 15 in middle school. Because I went to middle school in the hood, so everybody was old and dumb. So but to address the bullying thing, if somebody, and we're going to talk about that in another podcast. We're going to get back to absolutely. But if you are being bullied, I'm going to put this out there. If you're being bullied, we don't tolerate that shit. I do not. I'm dead. I am dead serious, and I'm gonna break all the rules right now. I don't put up with that shit. I don't deal with that shit. I'll make jokes and I'll talk about somebody that I know, but I'll at least tell them what I said to their face. But here's the thing. I'm not going to tell somebody they got to go kill themselves. I'm not going to tell them they're a piece of shit. I'm not going to tell them anything to their face. Have I said, oh yeah, this person's an idiot behind their back? Sure, I have. Everyone said that, but I'll tell them to their face too. Like, hey man, I've told Canada multiple times, you're an idiot. And I've also said that to my other friends when he's not around. Yeah, he's dumb as shit. But I've told him, hey Canada, you know I think you're dumb. He's like, yeah, you're right. So that's not really bullying, because he and I'll tell you why I've said that to him. There's an actual reason why I've said that to him, because he's made some really bad decisions and he's made me upset. When we were getting our camp ready at Renaissance, it's just a real quick story. I told him we were trying to go into town to buy food, and he just sat on top of his bed for like 4 hours getting high, and I told him to get ready, and he just stared at me like he didn't know what I was talking about, and I got really mad and frustrated. So that's a long story short. So I've called him dumb, but like, I don't bully him. I help him out whenever he needs help. I'll try to encourage him. I'll try to give him words of advice. I'll tell him what he should do and should not do. But I'm bully. But when you go and bully somebody on the internet and tell them, you can't do this because you're ugly, you can't do this because you're fat, you can't do this because you're too skinny, you're too tall, you're too short, you're this, you're that, oh, you're not good enough, you're dumb. Or, well, not dumb, like, not the kind of dumb I called Canada, but when you tell somebody that like they're too stupid to like exist or some shit like that. When you bully somebody, like, I'll give you constructive criticism and I'll call you dumb if you do something dumb, but I'll tell you at the end of the day, like, you're my friend and I would take a bullet for you. But when you're calling somebody a piece of shit for no reason because you don't want them to exist anymore, then you're a fucking bully. And if you're being bullied, then you need to reach out to us, because I'm not going to sit there and take that shit. Okay, I will kick someone's ass.
Yeah, same.
What is that? We can't even see what that is.
The cat is actually like laying down and resting. She's so hyper. She's like a ball of.
Playing with her,
she's a ball of energy, and I'm trying to get that energy out.
Mm-hmm.
So
she's like less than like 7 weeks.
I know, it's adorable.
It is. She's so adorable. She scraps my leg up terribly, but I love her. And animals are a good source of like. I notice when sometimes with people with depression, like animals help because animals they don't judge you. They will love you for whatever you
that's
are.
another subject we're gonna get into eventually. Are
Yeah.
emotional support animals?
Yeah.
Are they the same as the other? What are they called?
No.
We're not going to discuss
Service
that
animals,
now.
no.
Yeah, are they emotional support animals? Are they the same as service animals? And should you be allowed to take them everywhere? We're going to talk about that. Not today.
Yeah,
Not today. We're definitely not going to get into that, but we're going to talk about that eventually. But it is
like,
one of those things to where
on a personal level, like growing up, I had a dog. That really helped because like he was there, he was like comforting and stuff like that. But that was like as a teenager, and that was like it wasn't diagnosed. That was just personal. I didn't take the dog anywhere. You know what I mean? It was just my own personal time and all that sort of stuff that really gave me comfort. I really think they work that way, but like you said, another subject.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
to address that comment, and like I said, we're not going to talk about bullying anymore in this podcast because that's not what this is about.
Yeah.
Bullying in every generation affects people differently, like how it was for us. We might see bullying now and it might not hit us as hard, but you got to understand that just because like everybody's mind is different, their problems, I'm not going to get into that, but you have to see it from their point of view. You have to see it from their point of view because the country isn't what it was back then. You got to remember that being a nerd, another part of that would affect depression was being a nerd in the 90s. Like when you were a nerd in the 90s, you couldn't be open about it at all. You had to be a closet nerd. If you read comics, you didn't say shit to nobody.
I am
God
so
forbid you had glasses in the 90s and the early
I had glasses
2000s.
in the 90s. Oh god, yeah, no.
Oh, yeah.
All right, what are you trying to say, Sock Kitty?
No, I remember in elementary, because I remember like in middle school and elementary and in high school, I loved Sailor Moon. I loved Power Rangers. And then I got made fun of as in fourth grade. I mean, I was a kid. I was being made fun of watching Power Rangers because it's a kid's show. I'm like, well, I am a kid. Why would and nowadays, like some of the people I knew in high school who never were interested in any of the geek culture are now all of a sudden like, yeah, I was into it the entire time. I'm like, no, you weren't.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I was like, I love Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z.
Why are you lying?
And I also like, oh yeah, well I was into it, just as well. I'm like, no, you weren't. I had stickers. I had action figures. I have the Sailor Moon like little action figures in the 90s. Those are rare to find. I still have those. I have those, and sometimes I think there might be some fake geeks out there, but but most of us, there's some like people who are just getting into and loving it, and I'm happy that it's out in the open. But I remember getting viciously bullied for liking that shit.
Right. No, but we're not going to talk about the bullying aspect. We're going to talk about how like it was depressing. I just want to address one comment real quick in particular because I remember he gave me shit for this the other day. Zarek, you specifically told me not to tell anyone it was you who helped me get the power supply. And yet here you are in the comments in the middle of the podcast for hundreds of people to see. And this is your exact comment. I'm so glad the new power supply is working. You're welcome. And I remember you specifically telling me, hey, just say it was donated by an anonymous supporter of Geeks 5 And this fool is all like, you're welcome on the middle of the stream. You're welcome, Jesus.
You're welcome.
So,
what can say except you're welcome.
There's a ton of, I can't see all the comments that are being, I don't know what's going on with the app. There's something going on.
F to pay respects. F. F's in the chat, y'all. F's in the chat.
Harry Bogart in '95. I made the joke.
Everybody put it.
I actually gave the guy a thumbs up. That was from Albert.
Yes. Yes, so we're going to talk about the bullying thing. We're going to talk about the 90s, and we're going to talk about being a geek back then. You couldn't be open about it. It was a little bit harder, especially if you grew up in a really bad area, like if you grew up in the ghetto. I mean, people call it the ghetto. We call it the hood. Well, we didn't call it the hood. We just called it. No, yeah, we did call it the hood. I was thinking about it. We called it the hood.
Oh,
And
man,
like,
as long
what do
as
you
you
call the
don't
hood? And
bully,
this
yeah,
is
you're
this
okay
this is
though.
gonna sound very racist, but the way it was, like, the hood, like the school in the hood was a school of like half Hispanics and Latinas, and then half black, and there were like less than 100 white students, and everybody was affiliated with some kind of group or gang or something like that. But and like dealing with that is like you couldn't be into, like, the depressing thing about stuff like that was if you liked rock music you were considered white, or if you liked anime or Power Rangers considered child, or like
Yeah.
the only thing anybody ever watched back then was Dragon Ball Z. No, you couldn't be into Pokemon either. Dragon Ball Z was fine, but you couldn't really, like, you couldn't be openly into Pokemon. You could play the games, but you could not play the cards.
It's
Ah,
a lot of people just are. I'm glad that now it's like normal, not normal. It's like, oh, it's fine to play these games. They're harmless. Why we're giving people shit for playing like innocent games? But
Yeah, because you got to understand that, like, the mindset in that kind of area is that when I was in middle school, people were already they were already smoking weed. They were already, like, trying to drink beer. They were sneaking beer. They were smoking cigarettes. People were already doing stuff, and it was that's how it is.
Yeah.
Like, like,
They're trying to
people
be
were,
adults.
yeah, they were trying to be adults, and they were stealing from each other. They were mugging each other. They were beating each other up. They were fighting. Like, I remember they rolled up our. I remember we had people talk about school shootings, but you know how many people threatened to shoot up our school on a weekly basis, and it never got reported. Or like how many times they would open up the window curtain and we see somebody outside getting tackled by the cops, and like you could tell that person that was being tackled by the cops wasn't part of the school. It was normal
no,
for us like that,
cowboy bebop.
and you
my
can't
mom.
you can't express yourself in that kind of environment, and so you feel alone, and that's what also adds to your depression and anxiety, because you
Oh
are
yeah.
trying to fit in and you can't be yourself, and that's what also leads to depression and anxiety, is when you cannot express yourself the way you want to express yourself. And there goes Jen with the Dr. Pepper again.
This causes depression and anxiety in kids if they're in an unhealthy environment, and this includes schools. If schools an unhealthy environment, and they see this on daily of fights and threats, drugs, abuse, and everything, and then also the teachers not giving a fuck. I mean, what did you expect the kid will react to that? You think they're like going to be all smiles, like, all right, just another day here,
Well,
you know?
that's not always the case either, because like there like, based on what I have seen, like, one of the teachers tried to stop a student, and the student ended up stabbing the teacher in the stomach with a pencil. And it's not like the parents don't care. Some of these parents are either working 3 jobs, or they don't even speak English. They're never home, or there's a parent missing or dead.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not that they can, and they can't even, sometimes they can't even take their child out of the school because another school won't take them because their academic scores are too low, or they have too many marks on the record. Our system not only helps create depression, it amplifies it.
Yep. It amplifies and reinforces it.
And then like especially if you're a minority, like, minorities are the ones who, like, we have depression too, we have anxiety, and yet we are the ones that are not allowed to be open about it. We are not allowed to talk about it. We are not allowed to cry, especially, like I said earlier, like, especially if you're a man, you are not allowed to cry.
Oh god, I don't know how many freaking slurs my dad called me just for like showing some type of emotion. You're like, you freaking, yeah.
And you know what? And it's not our parents' fault either. That's just how it was growing up.
Yeah.
Especially if they're from another country. Like, that's just how it was then. They grew up in an area where, like, if you didn't work, you starved. And so they had families to feed, and like, these people had, like, I have 6 aunts and 5 uncles on my dad's side. That's a lot of kids to feed, and my dad talked about coming to this country and buying his first pair of shoes. And it's rough. And I mean, and like, I can't compare my pain. I can't compare my struggle to his struggle because, you know, he came here and didn't even speak the language. But it is different. I'm not saying that I'm not suffering as much or it's not as difficult. It is difficult now
It's
on a
different.
different
It's
level.
just different.
But like, you know, you sometimes when you grow up with that and you see that as the bar, like you feel like you can't compare when you're probably, you know, you probably do have it much harder. But it's like you can't say anything, you can't cry, you can't be emotional, you just have to suck it in, tough it out and get back to work.
Yeah, like oh man, like so my family history, there's a lot of abuse, a lot of like physical abuse, um, and physical and sexual abuse. And one of the things that came up was like my dad was like, you didn't have to go through the same things that I did. You didn't have it rough as I did. And I was like, I kind of like at that moment that was kind of a watershed moment for me. But anyways, like it was like I went through these things. They're just different. Like you can't compare your spoons to my spoons and say that your spoon is worse than my spoon. You know what I mean? Like they're just
Mhm.
different. They're different experiences and they affect us differently. And I really think that that needs to be acknowledged and that really needs to be like, you know, we can't compare these things. You can't compare trauma and be like, oh, my trauma is worse than yours. Like it's trauma is trauma. It doesn't matter how big, how small. If it affected you in a way that you cannot function properly or properly how normal people say it or whatever, that that it really does reinforce that stigma of mental health. And I really think that we're pushing against it and it's getting better. I
I'm
really
good.
like these types of things like we're talking together right now is helping people. I hope it is. I really do.
Wait, I'm looking at the comments and only one person said something constructive and now all of a sudden they're talking about John Wick and cosplaying John Wick. Uh,
What is dog?
Sanji
Cosplay as
says,
John Wick. Oh no.
Sanji said something. Oh yes, I'm trying to look for a comment. Man, there's just so many because they started commenting with one letter per comment. Okay, yes, here it is. At least it's normalized now. Nerds rule the world. It only took 20 plus years, but it happened. I don't know if we rule the world, but we have. It's gotten to a point where being a nerd is actually kind of cool. Reading comics is cool. Liking, you know, the DC cinematic universe changed all that.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. It really did.
Oh yeah.
It changed the way we're looked at. And as DC, like Comic Con helped, the San Diego Comic Con helped bring that to light. Like, oh, these are really cool, but people only knew about that one convention, so they assumed that was it.
Mhm.
And then, like, when it came to anime, like, we didn't know what anime was. We just thought it was like more defined cartoons. But Batman the Animated Series helped pave that way when it comes to that. And when it comes to anime, there's really two anime that help make anime mainstream in North America. It's Pokemon and Dragon Ball Z. Those are the two animes that really brought anime into the limelight here in this country. And video games have, and it's thanks to PlayStation that video games are no longer seen as a toy for a child. Because once PlayStation started creating 3D graphics, it was seen more as entertainment for adults versus the 16-bit graphics, which were considered for children. One comment says, "I miss California." But it is tough growing up, especially if you're a minority. Like, you know, a lot of black people suffer from that whole stigma that it's very taboo to talk about your emotional feelings or to show any kind of weakness because it's considered. Let's just get down to it. It's considered weakness. It really is.
Yep.
It's considered
Yep.
being weak. And you're not only judged by your peers, but you're judged by your family. Sometimes. Not every family is like, I'm not saying every family is like that, but it is very common. And it is heartbreaking. And that's why, like, you know, a lot of people think about committing suicide because they feel like maybe if I'm gone, they'll finally appreciate me.
Or they won't have to feel that pressure of living up to others' expectations.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was really hard growing up for myself because like my dad was like he was involved in like I don't want to say city politics, but he was involved in like city government, and so there was a lot of like he was always putting on errors, I guess is how you could say it. So it was more like you have to be this way, you have to do things this way. Like I've had long hair pretty much since I was in high school. So that was one of the things that was always like, you need to cut your hair. I was like, no, I'm not cutting my hair. But anyways, it was just like, that type of stuff really kind of puts you down because you can't express yourself, you can't be who you want to be, and it really hurt. And
Hmm.
you just want that to end sometimes.
Yeah, my dad has like really high expectations for like me and my sister. And like for me, my sister always met every single one of his expectations, which just made it feel like for me, like he raised the bar. And sometimes he would just like push too much. And so I had to like be like, hey, whoa, like I don't like my brain does not operate like this, and you're making it worse. And
Yeah.
it's been very difficult, like growing up, and like that moment where I like finally was like, I remember being in the kitchen and like I broke down crying because my sister was just digging into me because I got so depressed once. Like I lost my job and she was just like, well, at least I can keep my job and whatnot. And like she was just trying to like push me to where I'd be like, oh yeah, I do need a job. Like let's go find a job right now. But like it didn't help at all. So like I broke down crying, and I think like he kind of realized at that point, like, okay, maybe we need to like start figuring out a different way to approach this situation. And it's been trial and error.
Yeah.
Trial and error, and it does get better. It does get better. We're doing a lot better now as a family. But you can't just give up before you even like try to reach out or like try different like ways to solve or ease a situation.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, especially with older parents, my dad never really expressed like his feelings or even said sorry sometimes. It's just like parents, some parents, they just never say sorry. Like they know they done something wrong and they just don't apologize to it. And that has effect on some people, especially that had an effect on me later on as an adult. When they've done something wrong, they just never acknowledge it. It's just like, okay, we're just gonna like forget about it. It's in the past. I'm like, yes, it's in the past, but you still have to acknowledge it and still apologize for it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until like in the past few years that my dad finally realized that the way he approached things is not the best way to approach it. Because when he gets frustrated or emotionally frustrated because he never was taught the tools of how to deal with emotions, especially with the older generation of men, they just taught to bury it. So when that emotion gets high, it just comes out as anger. And it's just like, you have to realize that's an unhealthy way of dealing with it now. That's not an appropriate or an adult way to deal with it. He started to realize now it's bad, and he's in his 70s. He's trying, but it's a process with adults. They only know how to raise us tools that are given. So you might have some adults will push you because that's the only way they knew how or how to operate.
Yeah, I don't
know.
Hold on.
Where'd we go?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened.
All of our videos disappeared, and
Oh,
now
I'm the only one. Oh, yeah,
Yep.
I got kicked off too.
Oh,
I
I got kicked out.
Ah, I can see myself.
what? No,
I'm still there.
Geeks 5 Ever has disconnected from chat.
No, we're still online. We're still on the stream. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I'm still
It
here.
was a joke.
I don't know. I'm like
Midnight
freaking out
rave.
because I'm the one freaking out because I gotta like do this. Oh, it's not reading it right now. That's why.
Oh no.
Okay. Like I'm still here. I can still see myself.
It's
and
not.
Yeah, I see you. I don't see me.
It's not reading it. Does it need to go back to school and take English again?
So this has become
I'm
the
gonna
Simone
take-
Oliver podcast,
Oh, shit.
and
Frank
it
Solo
was-
podcast.
Which sucks because they can barely hear you. I mean, yeah.
No.
God, I'm talking as loud as I can.
Okay,
Okay,
so
people
Oliver holding it down. Yeah, he is.
okay,
Right.
so what we're gonna do is
Okay.
we're gonna normally I go through this whole ordeal, but we're going to just do. No, it's not coming up at all.
No, I'm frozen
can.
now.
No,
Great.
It's not
we're
even
still.
allowing me
This
to.
is funny because we were like all super happy that there weren't any technical issues at the beginning. We just gotta stop mentioning it, and it won't. It's like we're summoning the technical issues.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what to say. It's not responding. It cut off. The program's not reading the messenger call anymore. Anyway, there's something going on with it.
What?
Yeah.
Oh wait, the acting all weird on for Oliver. Hey, yes, hey, Mama.
Yeah, I'm frozen now.
Wait, hold on.
No, you're not even
Oliver.
on there. Hold on. No, everybody's just. Hold on. Everybody just. Hold on. Just wait 1 second.
You want to disconnect and try
Oh.
it again?
No. Yeah. Let's go ahead and do that. We're gonna end the call and then we're gonna have everybody connect again.
Yeah, no, that shit was getting heavy, so I could use a little break.
Yeah. Okay. So I do apologize to everybody for what is going on. So I'm gonna go ahead and send another call to everybody. All right, just we are still live, so that's very good. Hopefully I can get everybody back on the chat. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna work anymore. That's fine.
My actual name is there.
Oh, I don't have something.
Zuck
It
says
could
you're
be like,
done.
like we can see each other, people. We can see each other in video chat. You just can't see us for whatever
Right.
fucking
Yeah,
reason. Oh my
we're
God.
just gonna we're gonna go ahead and just end it there anyway because it's already yeah, the FBI got involved. They shut us down. They shut us down.
Set us down.
All right, guys. So thank you for watching. Anyway, do y'all want to say anything as we're? I guess Facebook got tired of us. Like, hey, you're depressing the customers. Do y'all guys want to say anything as we go ahead and wrap it up?
I don't want to talk about the question anymore.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead. You guys go first.
Okay. Well, all right. I'm gonna just say that I have my my Etsy store is still up. We're still doing free shipping, so feel free to order as many masks as you want. Remember that you have people out there that are willing to help and talk to you, and you're not alone. And I know a lot of people are facing a lot of depression during this time of this pandemic, but we'll make it through, guys. We'll make it through.
Okay. Anything you want to say, Senor Oliver?
Oh no, Jen can go first.
Okay. No.
Wait,
Jen, the actress, is not
Jen
here.
was talking.
Jen's not here.
Oh, okay.
I see
Okay,
her.
yeah, one of the things I just wanted to bring up was like I know that a lot of my artist friends and cosplayers are being affected by the shutdown due to the COVID pandemic. Um, you know, help, I think it's really good to find these artists that would be at these artist alleys, help support them. That really kind of goes a long way to help kind of battle this type of like this anxiety, this depression, a lot of the things that we're all facing together as a community. I really think that if you can chip in, share their content, share their ads, it really goes a long way to help out with their with our mental state.
All right. Thank you, Jen. I noticed that you are here. Would you like to say anything, or if you could say anything? Jen? Yeah, Jen's in the chat, but Jen can't talk. So, anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and go. So tomorrow we're gonna do Avatar: The Last Airbender versus the Harry Potter. So we're gonna talk about not just Avatar: The Last Airbender. We're also gonna talk about Korra, the Legend of Korra, and Avatar: The Last Airbender. So we're gonna share all the lore from both of them, and we're gonna talk about all the lore in Harry Potter. So I don't think Jen's joining us tomorrow, but I'm not sure who's joining who. Who's joining? I know that I have to look at the list of people that are going to be in it tomorrow. But that's tomorrow on Thursday at 7 p.m. That's a versus, because we're not going to do Anime Matsuri versus Delta H Con anymore, because that's just beating a dead horse at this point. So we're going to go ahead and do the Avatar versus Harry Potter. So that should be a good subject to talk about. On Friday, I am bringing back the Terrible Fan Fiction. Terrible Fan Fiction, 8 o'clock on Fridays. Terrible Fan Fiction is now only on Fridays. Oh, Jen's here.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Okay, we're already ending. Do you want to say anything as we?
Yes, I've been trying to talk this whole time.
Yes.
Okay. Before I die again, hello. Yes, goodbye. My name is Jen. Go follow my Twitch. I'm trying to reach 325 followers by the end of the month. Feel free to subscribe. I'm going for 10 subscribers by the end of the month. It's posted in chat, but Zion Fox.
Okay.
X is in xylophone. Ion Fox.
That's right. The social media is on the video right there. Zion Fox. Also, we're going to start our Patreon. The money that you donate to our Patreon is going to help everybody get a better microphone so we can hear Senor Oliver better.
Yeah, send it to him.
I'm waiting for
Talking
Sina.
as loud as I can.
All right, so Friday is definitely Terrible Fan Fiction. Once again, Terrible Fan Fiction is at 8 o'clock on Friday. It starts 5 minutes before 8 o'clock. It'll show the fireplace video, and then it'll play like a random song in the background. So you can check us out. Tomorrow, like I said, is Avatar lore versus Harry Potter lore. Which one is deeper and which one is better? In my opinion, in my personal opinion, the Avatar universe has much more lore and it's much more deeper than the Harry Potter universe.
I'm nodding over here like they can see me.
No. Yeah. Saturday. So the way our schedule works, and we're going to post it from now on, it's on Mondays. Monday is our trash talking subject podcast, which we pick a subject, we talk trash about it the whole time. That's at 7. Wednesdays, 7 o'clock is a discussion panel like the one we did now, discussion podcast. And we talk about different things. It can be jokingly, it can be serious. Thursdays are verses. We pick 2 subjects and we talk about which one's better overall. Fridays are the Terrible Fan Fiction. Saturdays are going to be like where we have a guest, because I found out that a lot of guests can be on the podcast on Saturdays because a lot of them have Monday through Friday jobs. We don't have anything on Tuesdays and Sundays. Tuesdays and Sundays are pretty much the days that, like, I got to give myself some time to like chill and relax. So just bear with me on that. Make sure you check out everybody's social media, at Saki Kitty on Instagram and Facebook, at Tiger Shark Media, and at Zion Fox. And then you can check me out at Geeks5Ever. Geeks5Ever on Instagram, Mixer, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Snapchat. We're now on Tinder.
Oh, we're on Tinder now.
No, I'm kidding. We're not on that. We're not on that. Thank you for everyone that joined and listened to us. I understand that a lot of people left because it was too emotional. But if you want to, you can reach out to me on Facebook.com/Geeks5Ever, or you can even email me geeks5ever@gmail.com, or you can message me on my personal Facebook account if you have me as a friend on Facebook. And we can talk. You won't be judged. I won't judge anything you say or do, and I won't share anything. There are a lot of people that do open up to me, and I don't share anything they say. So that is there. Geeks Forever needs an OnlyFans. That's not happening. I can't do that. I can't support. We're not going to do that. We do have a TikTok coming. We do have a TikTok, unfortunately, because I have younger members.
Can we have a TikTok? Yeah, can we have a TikTok of all of our technical difficulties? Can that happen?
Yeah,
that would be amazing.
Yeah, no. Oh.
That would be great.
Okay, I don't know why you have subtitles. I think your TV is broken. I think you need to replace it with a better one. Anyways, all right, guys. Thank you for listening. I am King Mexico, also known as Goku. I'm the Mexican Goku. I want to tell everybody have a good night. Be safe. Stay. Wear a mask when you go out, and please don't get sick. And if you need to reach out, you can reach out. Remember, no one's problems are too small.
Yep.
Everyone faces difficulties differently. No one is the exact same. No two people are created the same. We all have different things that make us unique in every way. All right, guys. Peace.